Well, hi once again, everybody. Welcome to what's, I promise you, is going to be a very special edition with a very special guest right here on the 19th Hole Podcast for golfers. I'm your host, Dennis Silvers. Hope you're having a great day, playing some good golf. Weather here is hot finally in Las Vegas, and you know I'm a hot weather guy. I just absolutely love it. We've got a lot going on here in Las Vegas. Hope you're able to make it here on vacation or whatever. I know that summer is just about upon us, so we'd love to have you visit some of our golf courses. We've got a lot to talk about next couple of shows because we've got something coming up at Brookline at the Country Club starting June 16th, which is the day before my birthday, called the U.S. Open. So that's always a great event. One thing I don't understand, I get all the odds and sent to me. John Rahm didn't make the cut at the PGA yet. He's still the favorite at 12-1. So anyway, go figure. But anyway, as hot as it is, it's not nearly as hot as the political races we have going on right here in the state of Nevada. And one of the best ones that we have amongst all of them is the gubernatorial race. Our gentleman on today, our guest on today, is running for the governor of the great state of Nevada. And I'm sure a lot of you will recognize him because he's been around in politics for a long, long time, has served the state and the community, Clark County, very, very well. Let me tell you a little bit about Tom Collins. Tom served in the Nevada legislature representing District 1 and was elected 5 times. So, he was doing a pretty good job. District 1, by the way, in case you don't know, encompasses most of Las Vegas and parts of North Las Vegas as well. Tom served as a Clark County Commissioner as well, representing District B. He was elected 3 times to that. He served on the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority for almost 11 years, 4 years as chairman. And throughout his career, Tom has been a member of various commissions and organizations like Las Vegas Events, Colorado River Commission, and the Nevada Association of Counties. He also has a very strong community service record, everything from Las Vegas Boy Scouts Council to the National Finals Committee, Rodeo Committee, which is a great event that we have right here. So he's been around, he knows his stuff, and I'm more than happy that he took time out to come on the show, and you're going to learn a little bit about Tom Collins. So thank you for coming on, my friend. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Dennis. Appreciate that invite.
All right, first question right out of the box. Why are you a Democrat and not a Republican? Because in my way of thinking and talking to you, you sound a lot like a lot of Republicans I know. So why are you a Democrat?
I'm a blue-collar union member.
Okay.
I've been a union member almost all my life, all my adult life, and I believe in fair wages and benefits and hard work, And the rule was, for many years, was you work hard enough to make the company money, and then they're going to keep having jobs so you can keep working.
Right.
And I've always been a union guy, and there ain't very many Republican guys that are union or care about collective bargaining. And that's one of the main staples that keeps me in the Democratic Party. There's a lot of stuff that should just go away, but it's what it is.
It is what it is. So why then, Tom, do you think that Democrats nationwide seemingly seem to be imploding a little bit?
Some of them are stupid.
What's going on with those guys? Because they've got midterms coming up, and I don't know.
There's some, always in the midterm, the party that's not in power or on the side of the president usually loses seats. You've seen them over the years, 20, 30, 50 seats. That's normal discourse in the United States. And even with redistricting a couple of years ago here in Nevada, there's some Democrats that are very vulnerable because, when you take away the authority of law enforcement to protect you, and when you just start turning people back on the streets it doesn't make for a safer community. It makes for a worse community. And there's ways that legislators could do better than they are. And the other part of it is the Democrats are primarily in Clark County. And if you go out to the rest of the state,
True.
there's very few. There's some old-time Democrats still throughout the rest of the state.
True.
It's just a matter of, you don't need animal rights idiots on the Wildlife Commission that deals with hunting tags and so forth throughout the rest of the state. And I could go on for your whole program, but let's don't do that.
Well, you bring up a good point, both on a national level with the Democrats in charge and as well as here in Nevada, a Democratic governor and controlled by the Democrats. Do you think then we should have gotten a hell of a lot more done by now with the Democratic-controlled government we have here in Nevada?
They could have done more, but they were too, I was in the legislature, I can tell you, they all have a pet bill, or they have a bill they got to push because of it was requested by one of their contributors, just the political side instead of being an elected official. But they haven't addressed education. They haven't addressed, a stable budget for the state. My opinion, with all three or both houses and the governor all in the Democratic Party, obviously there ain't one Democratic Party. There's a whole flock of them.
Yeah, that's true. What did your experience, Tom, being in the legislature, as you mentioned, and a county commissioner, teach you in your effort to become governor?
Oh, a tremendous amount. I've been all over the state. I've been all over the state most all my life, either hunting or rodeoing or raising cattle in various parts and visiting, parks and whatnot, taking the kids places and going around the state. So coming out from the legislative experience, four terms on the Judiciary Committee, we had a little common sense about looking around at our neighbors, okay? And just a simple example. If somebody in California or Utah or Idaho or Arizona are going to get 5 to 10 years for a crime and Nevada makes it a probationary crime, they're all going to come and do it here.
Right.
And that's just a simple analogy, but there's so many things in judiciary. First of all, you've got all these laws that Nevada has that might have been changed or turned over by a judge or in a court. So then you have to go back and readdress that. So the Judiciary Committee is always pretty busy. And as long as there's people there with common sense, we can keep Nevada safe.
Right.
The county commission, I represented District B, but I had no boundaries. I went and fixed things wherever it needed getting done. And it wasn't, that's the typical difference between me and the other fellow on the Democratic side for governor. If they didn't contribute to him, he didn't help them. That's the saddest. That's politics and pay for play instead of being, representing the people that you represent. And hell, I've gotten improvements done in and out of my district while I was on the county commission in areas where the people hated me and cut down. Here's a good example. Cut down one little tree, about 4 or 5 inch diameter little tree in a big old park, so that we could put in soccer fields and football fields just for practice. No lights. We didn't disturb much. And God, they had a petition, save the tree. Jesus, But afterwards, their kids all come and their grandkids all come and played on that.
Using it, yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
So, just typical things like that.
Oh, my God. What was your motivation to get into politics in the first place? How did that come about?
2 reasons.
Okay.
And don't show this to my mom.
Promise. I'll do my best.
Okay. I use this expression. I say I was an abused child, number one, and number two, I started losing too many fights, and you can look at my hand and see why. So how you going to win a fight if you can't kick their ass anymore? Is you get in politics, you run for office, and you do that because you know how to serve people. Right. You've learned how to help others, your neighbors and your community and different organizations you've been involved with. You're helping them out especially in Southern Nevada here, you're helping them, but all over the state, there's so many, 4-H and FFA and rodeos and livestock issues, and we used to have a thing here for a few years showing people, roping a little dummy like you'd rope a cow. Mm-hmm. And there would be dairy cattle and chickens, and here's a whole wall of things that come from processing of livestock. And you remind these kids that hamburger comes from that beef cow over there. It don't come from McDonald's.
Right.
And milk ain't in a carton it doesn't come from a carton in the grocery store. It comes from that old Holstein. Yeah. I mean, just education. You're helping.
You made a good point, or an interesting point I want to ask you as far as helping people, and I think you're a great example of that. Is helping people inherent in a person, Tom, or can that be learned?
It's common sense. How was you raised? Who were you around? Who was your peers? Who was your mentors? There's a thing, giver's gain. You ever heard that? Giver's gain. The more you give, the more you're going to gain, because you get the reward in your heart of making things better for folks. And it's pretty simple. Can you learn that? But some of these politicians got too big of egos to be able to be humble enough to be good to look out for somebody else without looking for a dollar in it.
Yeah.
That's bullshit.
Yeah, that is not good. Main motivation, and I know there's a lot of them, but main motivation to become governor of the state of Nevada.
Well, around the state, I've been called governor for over 20 years by, friends out in most of the rural counties and some in parts of Clark County, just because, like I said, I'd never let my assembly district or my county commission boundaries get in the way of me helping do something. And I used to always laugh. I'd say, well, and this is 15 years ago, I'd get probably up in maybe Eureka or Elko, and one of those guys come up seriously, said, why haven't you run for governor? And I said, well, I could probably win all 16 rural counties, but I'd have a tough time in Clark because it's a goddamn liberal. But for the Democratic side, we'll go back to the party thing you talked about earlier.
Okay.
I was at a function the other night where there were several Democratic clubs having a lot of candidates get up and speak for a minute. And a couple of them were lamenting the fact that they're not on the ballot in June. Look for them in November. Who's getting all the news right now? The freaking Republicans are getting all the news.
Yeah, pretty much.
This one said that and blah, blah, blah,
pretty
blah,
much.
blah. And if you look at it, both Steve and I are benefiting from being on the June ballot in a primary. Regardless of who wins, we're on the ballot, and that will get a little bit more, hopefully, energizing of the Democrats voting in the primary.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. The primary vote here, Republican and or Democrat, for some reason, has always been a low turnout. Why do you think that is?
Most people don't give a shit. They don't want, a lot of people, they're too busy in their lives, especially now with, the inflation and housing prices and rent and job wages and whatnot. So a lot of people, they don't want to spend the time. They got to play on their computer, and they got to play with their kids, and they got to do all these other things that are good, but, go vote. And the turnout in the primaries are historically low. The only time they get higher is when you got a close race. In a certain, whether it's federal or state or local. And if you got a tight race there, that will draw some other people out. Of course, the other side of that is some people will go vote for a U.S. senator or a U.S. congressman, or maybe the governor, or maybe their own mayor or city council, now that those races all got put in line with the same time of year, that they don't vote all all the ticket, and a lot of them don't even get back to the questions. So people are just, since we got this internet and all this instant, electronic stuff, there's not a lot of patience in people.
That's true. That's very, very true. That's well said. All right, I'll tell you what. We come back, we're going to talk about specific problems that I think that we're encountering and get some solutions from our guest, Tom Collins. So stay with us. We're going to be back with you right after this.
3.
Welcome to Tea Time Fitness with Janice. Hi, I'm Janice Thornton with JT Fitness and Golf. And let's get into some stretches that you can do on the driving range. So grab your driver and let's get started. This first stretch, I want you to take your driver. You're going to put it in front of you. And this is a great stretch for your back. You just want to hinge over, lean forward, and feel a great stretch in your lats. And I just want you to gently rock back and forth with that driver. Your goal is not to bend your driver as far as you can. It's just that you want to use it as a prop. Allow yourself to go back and forth and gently side to side. So definitely do this stretch to get your lats warmed up. Take your game to the next level. Join the JT Fitness and Golf 90-day golf fitness program. Go to jtfitnessandgolf.com for more details.
We all know that just about everything today is getting more expensive, and golf is no exception. Well, I'm here to tell you about one golf company that is designed to save you money. That's right, I said save money. Welcome to breakfastballs.golf, a company that sells the best used golf balls in like new condition at a fraction of the price you'd pay anywhere else. Breakfastballs.golf carries all the popular brands of balls, from Pro Vs to Callaway to TaylorMade to Top Flight and many, many more. They even will ship you colored golf balls if that's your choice. They offer a great membership program as well, where members receive free shipping all of the time, plus great discounts. Save money and time. Go to breakfastballs.golf and check them out. So why not give yourself a breakfast ball on every tee, not just the first? Go to breakfastballs.golf and save money. All right, welcome back, everybody, to more of the 19th Hole Podcast for golfers. I'm your host, Dennis Silvers, having a great conversation with gubernatorial candidate for the great state of Nevada, former assemblyman, former county commissioner, Mr. Tom Collins. Let's talk about some problems and what you think are some good common sense solutions, Tom, facing Nevada, particularly here in southern Nevada. Let's start with homelessness. That has become a problem not only here, but all over the country, but especially here in Las Vegas and Clark County, to the point where it's starting to rattle some tourists. More and more homeless camps are rising up. I know it's a difficult problem from a lot of angles, but what would you do as governor to help facilitate a cure, if there is a cure for that?
Well, there's not a cure. And on the other side of that, there's so many, quote, nonprofits doing different things for different groups and sectors, there's a lot of groups out there helping veterans. There's a lot of groups helping the seniors. There's a lot of people, organizations dealing with the drug abuse and whatnot. Hell, a couple of years ago, I was up in the air helping for a little while on a power work, and right in the open, in some vacant land behind that substation, they were shooting up and looking up like they were cool, and but I remember as a kid, there'd be people sleeping in the alley behind Leroy Sportsbook, or down there behind the bus depot and whatnot. So they've always been around.
Yeah.
But how is it being addressed? Well, the village that Arnold got going has been helping a lot of them. There's again, that's where you look at what are other states doing, and if you're comparable, then everybody's going to stay in place. But on the other side of it, if you get too generous and too offering too much, water beds and blah blah blah, they're going to flock here.
Yeah.
Now they can come here easier than they can stay in northern Idaho or northern Utah because it gets cold and snows up there.
Right.
They can come down here for the better weather. And they can migrate around, and they'll find the places to go. But we've always had over there on Bonanza, we've always had and then of course you look at Las Vegas, they've blown more money on their little shelter down there, and then still want to spend more on it. Making like suites for these folks. Well, just give them some water and some shade, and some food if they're hungry. And find out who they are, and find a relative, send them home, or take better care of them. So what are you going to do in the state? Is there's money in the budget, in the state of Nevada's budget, to help counties and cities deal with this. There's also a lot of federal money that comes in, and that's where you get all these nonprofits that they're paying all these executives to qualify to do what they're doing. So anyway.
Yeah. Well, do you think it's more right now today? It's more of a mental issue problem, or is it a economic issue that's driving more people to the street?
Oh, it's definitely mental.
It is.
It's definitely mental illness and drug abuse. There's intelligent people out there on the streets that don't want to go in. They want to sit at they're so anti-social, want their independence and stay away from everybody. They don't want to owe nobody anything. So they're just going to sit out there and let the chips fall. And a lot of that is, there's several things. Maybe they never were taught to work. Maybe they never were taught to take care of themselves.
Right.
But more and more as we give things away, people learn they don't have to work as hard or work as much. So there's that kind of a balance where you got to,
that's a good
have
point.
Somebody that can incentivize these folks to want to get back in the game.
Yeah.
And some of them, it works.
Yeah, that's a very, very good point. All right, let's turn to law and order. Let's turn to supporting the police agencies all through the state. What's your view on that?
We don't do enough. Anywhere in the state, we don't do enough. In general, there's some specific times, but I was in the legislature 20 years ago. We were having to bump up the pay for highway patrol because they were quitting. They were making 35-40% less than a county sheriff anywhere in the state. They'd get their training, get their post certificate from the state, and then they'd go to local jurisdictions. Well, the turnover is ridiculous. Has been at times. And so, hey, you do that, and I think you notice they're not highway patrol anymore. They're now state police. And try to feed your title to your kids when you're at the dinner table. But law and order, there's the legislature, this last legislature passed things, let's talk about Joe for a second or two. He's running for a safer state, but he's a sheriff.
Right.
But
Current sheriff of Clark County, in case people
right,
watching don't know.
And why would he jump in the governor's race? Well, I think he was upset, tremendously upset, by the weakening of laws in Nevada. You know, cops can't handcuff somebody. They can't do this. They got to, you know, you got some idiot all spaced out on some drugs trying to run away or fight with you, and you can't handcuff them. You can't contain them.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like you go to grocery stores or retail stores around the country, around the county now. They are, nearly all of them taught, if somebody walks in and picks something up and walks right by you out the door, let it go.
You can't do anything.
You've
right.
got cameras.
Right.
And if the cameras are enough to convince the insurance company to replace and pay for your losses,
Correct.
you didn't harm anybody and you don't get sued. So,
Correct.
And then, you know, maybe the sue happiness or the people, you know. And then the other side, you can't expect a $12 clerk to go chasing somebody down there and maybe get hurt and killed.
Well, exactly right. It's very true what you say. All right, let's talk about something very important. I know that you know a lot about attracting new industries to Nevada. We need businesses coming here. What are you going to do to incentivize all these people? I want to go to Nevada to open up my corporation.
I want some businesses that don't drink water.
Okay,
I'm being facetious. Lake Mead's the lowest it's ever been.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
There's a lot of issues. Lake Powell's worse. There's the 7 states agreement. We have been involved in agreements and changing agreements on the Colorado River for as long as it's been people getting water out of it. And now there's a fight, you know, St. George is trying to get a pipeline from Lake Powell. And it's not a very big pipeline. It's kind of like the first straw we built into Las Vegas when it was, you know, 120,000 or so maybe. So how do you incentivize those businesses? It ain't giving them money. You know, people think, okay, we give Tesla $1 billion. What'd you get out of it? He promised to hire all these contractors and he promised to pay all these wages and all these things. He's had labor issues here, not as much in Nevada as he has in Fremont, California, because they are around more union folks and know more about benefits. So how do you get these companies to come here? Education. You got to have a workforce that's trained and intelligent and want to work.
And want to work, right.
So that's where you find the answer to that thing. And given, you know, you can think what you want to about Allegiant Stadium and the room taxes are going to that. Would have built some damn good schools and infrastructure for education for these kids. And, you know, if the Raiders wanted to come here, they're going to come. Well, we don't need to buy people. I mean, prostitution's illegal, ain't it? I mean, in some places.
In some places.
Okay.
Most places.
In Clark County, it's illegal.
Right.
Okay. But you're going to pay for services from these other folks. So there's a fine line of getting these businesses in. Reducing the red tape at local government level on permitting and, you know, the landscaping, the right-of-ways, and just all the stuff that costs you a lot of money. Just like, you know, you got a fairly new building out here. How long is it going to take to pay for the landscaping and all the things around this building and just for, you know, and contributing to parks? There's another problem. Home builders got enough power that the real property the park tax, I forget that it's got letters, has got a cap at 1,000 foot. So in other words, when they build houses up to 1,000 foot, they pay a tax into a district that goes towards parks and improving your parks.
Right.
Above 1,000 square foot, it doesn't go up. And their developers say, because we build amenities in our communities in large homes like golf courses and everything else. So, for example, it's probably mine. I'm sorry. And quit it. And
technical issue.
my Probably my mom called me. And anyway, there's so many ways to make things simpler, and a lot of developers come from California, Southern Nevada, because it took 3 years in Southern Cal to get a permit, and it only took 8 to 10 months here then.
Yeah.
And that's rolled around the valley.
Yeah.
Henderson be the best, and Las Vegas be the best, and Clark County be the best. Nobody wanted to go to North Las Vegas because of crime and poor infrastructure.
Right.
That's changing, but it's still there's a whole bunch of concrete being poured.
Yeah.
But even though there's a lot of concrete being poured, were there good enough jobs to buy the houses that are being built there and contribute to the community? That's the bottom line.
That is the bottom line. That brings me to my last question before we take our next break.
Okay.
How about something done with rent control here? You know that the real estate market is just through the roof. Rents are going through the roof. People are struggling. I keep asking people, why don't you talk about rent control here, and so at least give people a shot at having a roof over their head?
That's might be popular some places. It's not popular in other places. But go back to Jimmy Carter and on the way up, subsidies for solar power renewal.
Right.
Subsidies for electric cars nowadays.
Right.
Subsidies for this and subsidies that. What happens? They start charging more. The people that's providing the solar energy equipment, panels and whatnot, they just charge more because they know they're getting a government refund after it's installed. Well, rent control. You got absentee renters, owners, landlords. And this ain't like the old days where you could just go over to Illinois or somewhere and punch them in the nose. They're greedy son of a bitches. And they're going to charge all they can. So it's a supply and demand thing. So what happens when you got all these apartments and all these weekly rentals and all these, tract homes that are small lots that can be rented and are being rented instead of purchased many times, or being purchased by people that are going to rent them? And they're greedy. They're going to they're going to rent them for what they can. When the economy goes down, the rents will go down. But in the meantime, you got a family making X dollars, and your rent goes up 30%. You're screwed.
Yeah, it's
now the other part of that, young families don't need 15 cell phones and TV channels and cable TV and all that bullshit.
Good point. That's a very good point.
And every house doesn't need a block wall around it either.
Yeah. That's very true. All right, I'll tell you what. Stick around. When we come back, we're going to finish up with our very special guest, Tom Collins. Be right back. Hey, golfers. I've been a golf talk show host for a long time, and I've been playing golf even longer. Being in golf media, I've had the chance to play every ball ever made. I've tried them all. Well, my search is finally over because I found the best ball I have ever played with. And more golfers are finding the same thing. I started playing with the Elixir golf ball made by Encore Golf. Encore Golf has revolutionized both their golf balls, the Elixir or the Avant 55, or the brand new Vero X1, to where the performance of either will simply blow you away. It did me. If you're looking for better performance and durability with your ball, Encore Golf has it. Don't just take my word for it. Check them out at EncoreGolf.com and you'll become convinced, as I am, the first time you tee it up with Encore. It's the best performing ball for the price. Go to EncoreGolf.com and see for yourself. Your scorers will love you for it. That's ONCORE Golf.com. Fabulous Freddy's is having a spectacular coupon book sale going on right now. Their sale price on coupon books for either full service or exterior only is fabulous. You can purchase a coupon book where you buy 7 and get 3 free, or you can purchase 4 and get 1 free. Head over to the Fabulous Freddy's on the southwest corner of Charleston and Fort Apache and check it out. Your car will love you for it.
Experience a salon like no other. Charm Beauty Lounge specializes in hair, skin, and a non-surgical, painless way to fuller hair, designed to boost hair volume up to 400% without glue or solvents. Make your appointment today. Call 702-201-1655.
Hey, beautiful, come on in. Charm Beauty Lounge. Charm Beauty Lounge.
If you're an avid golfer like I am, how great would it be living on a golf course? It's fantastic, but you're probably thinking golf course property is just too expensive. Well, I'm here to tell you that the folks at RWM Home Loans here in Las Vegas can make it happen. RWM Home Loans in Las Vegas will access a wide variety of ways to customize a loan to help you get into that golf course property or anywhere else for that matter. They offer first-time home buyer programs, jumbo loans up to $5 million, and even reverse mortgages. So do yourself a favor and call Casey Zari right here in Las Vegas at 702-888-2251. Get started on that new home or property. That's 702-888-2251, or just go to rwmhomeloans.com. Hi, welcome back, everybody. Continuing our conversation with candidate Tom Collins for the gubernatorial position here in the state of Nevada. I think, Tom, most people in the Democratic Party thought that Sisolak was going to run unopposed. How much of a surprise do you think it was when you filed, and what kind of a reaction did you get after you filed?
Well, a lot of people are going to support the incumbent, and he's an arm-twisting, vindictive son of a bitch anyway. So, you know, I've had people tell me, said, Tom, I'd give you $5,000 right now, but if Sisolak saw I did it, I wouldn't get anything done in the legislature. Mm-hmm. I totally understand. That's not quite America, but that's politics, you know, so I get it. I was at a luncheon yesterday, and a very popular person in Nevada, especially Southern Nevada, there was a lot of us there, but he come up walking and talking to a couple other people there that are lobbyists, and he come up and shook my hand. He says, God, I hope you win. And he started talking to the other two guys. One of them was a Democrat, one was a Republican lobbyist. And he said, I've had two friends call me that had donated to the governor, and somebody from their office, campaign office, called back and said, is that all you're going to give? You can do more.
Interesting.
And that's going on every day.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, that's what it is.
That's interesting. Yeah, it takes money to run for office, no matter what office you run for. That's just the way it is, and that's a fact of life. A number of Republicans kind of, I guess, were happy when Sisolak got an opponent because of so-called splitting the vote. Do you need a particular margin to win the gubernatorial race? How does that work, Tom?
I just need 50% plus one vote to beat him.
Okay.
With a low turnout, and a lot of people don't like him, and I've got people don't like me. Most of them are probably, some of them are because I filed, but like I said earlier on, having a primary, you can energize the Democrats and get more to turn out at the primary.
Well, I
agree.
agree.
By running unopposed, he ain't got to spend no money on me. He doesn't have to spend no money on me. Hell, I ain't got no money. You know, as far as campaigns, I'm doing pretty low key. You know, I've got some handouts, and we're doing some phone calls.
Let me show this.
Hanging around with stuff.
Handout here.
I think I even got a tie on in there.
On.
Yeah, down the bottom.
Hell, you do have a tie on.
I even got a tie on there.
Yeah, you're looking good there, and we'll give you information as far as Tom's website, because obviously donations and stuff would help. But what are you doing? So it's mostly grassroots.
Yeah.
You're doing fundraisers. You're knocking on doors. You're going to do radio. You're going to do TV. What are you doing to get your face out there?
I've already done a couple radios in Northern Nevada. I'm talking with different groups down here in Southern Nevada that will. Some of them, it surprises me, And here's a local union association, represents a lot of county employees. And while the governor was the chairman of the county commission, he screwed them to high hell. And an arbitration overturned, and he had to go back and kiss her ass. Well, I doubt he did. I think he just said sorry, you know. I was listening to that lawyer. He kind of passes the buck a lot. That guy does. So anyway, though, but, you know, he called 800 firefighters in Clark County frauds.
Wow.
And even out of fear of retribution, when they endorsed him, the members didn't vote for him. Very many of them. And so he's got all that baggage, and it doesn't matter. I mean, he's got $8 or $10 million, and he's in. Well, here's what's sad. He's in. The news says he's pollsters and politicals say he's in trouble because he's got the Democratic Governors Association spending $2 million here to knock off Joe. What kind of sense does that make?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Well, it makes good sense, and I'll tell you why. Because in 2010, I helped Harry Reid knock off Sue Loudon so that Sharon Angle would be the nominee, so we could win that Senate seat back then.
Yeah.
And so I understand the politics of all those things. How upset the other side is, that's their problem.
That's politics. Last question before we take our last short break, and we'll come back. We'll finish up with Tom. As you know, the Republican Party, at least in Clark County, is fractured. Why do you think that is? There's a lot of back and forth amongst the Republicans. They can't seem to get it together to be one damn party.
Well, and hopefully they're not watching the Democrats. The Democrats are doing the same damn thing here. You know, the Democrats up in northwest Nevada are just as fractured as the Democrats down here in southern. You know, we got two organizations in the Democratic Party. The Republicans got the Trumpism,
right,
and they've got the Republicanism, and then they got the conservative constitutionalism.
Right.
So they got, you know, they're fractured all to beat to hell. And they don't have any more loyalty to one another, but Republicans always turn out at a higher percentage than Democrats at elections. So as bad as the Republicans are doing, and the Democrats aren't doing any better, the most exciting thing about this going to the general election is 40% of Nevadans are going to be nonpartisan, other party.
Right.
They're not going to be loyal to Democrats or Republicans.
Right.
And some of them are signing back up to respective parties to vote in the primary. But a lot of them are just fed up with the partisan shit on both sides. Yeah. And you see it, well, it's glaring from Congress, but you see it in Nevada.
Yeah.
You know, a Republican goes up there to Carson City, gets elected, and introduces a logical bill to help Nevada. Oh, that ain't going to pass. A Democratic legislator might steal it and introduce it under his name if it's good.
If it's good.
Oh, yeah.
Probably pass, yeah.
Lots of bullshit, you know.
Yeah. All right, stay with us. We're going to take a real short break. We'll come back. I've got one last question for Tom, so we'll be right back.
As golfers, we want instant gratification when it comes to a better golf swing and playing better golf. Impossible, you say? Not anymore. Golf Boost Artificial Intelligence, AI, has developed and patented the most advanced swing analysis technology in golf. Simply, the algorithms detect your body position and then analyze your golf swing using their artificial intelligence technology. The AI captures all the relevant data from your swing video and then presents you a personalized lesson. Golf Boost AI is the ultimate swing analysis and virtual instruction system for golfers of all ages and abilities. This sophisticated software takes into consideration your height and build, playing level, and returns the ideal solution for your swing. Bottom line, Golf Boost AI is an incredibly convenient and cost-effective tool for golfers to improve their swing. Go to golfboost.com and check it out. The app is free to download and try. Visit golfboost.com today.
Innovation begins at a single point. Elements, each with their unique character. Fire-forged steel creates unprecedented control. Chemistry delivers a touch so soft, combined to create a level of performance previously unimagined. Like magic, the Elixir, the new tour ball from Encore.
All right, welcome back, everybody. I've got one last question I want to ask Tom Collins, and before we wrap up the show, and before we do, Tom, tell everybody about your website, where they could go to, they could learn a little about you, and they can also donate if they are so moved.
Yeah, my address and phone number are both on that website. It's cowboytomcollins.com. And there's a post office box there that I've had for a few years. You can send your checks there. If you're in Nevada, you know the maximum is $5,000 for a primary and $10,000 for the whole election. Any contribution will do. I just got a bill the other day. It's going to be about $11,000. So I sure appreciate another $11,000 being sent out to me.
That's a
Help
nice
cover that
round,
one.
yeah.
You know,
cowboytomcollins.com. You're going to like it. All right, final question before we close this show. You get elected. You move up to Carson City. You're sitting in your new chair in your new governor's office and all that stuff.
it's an old chair in an old
It's an
office.
old chair. I'm
I've been
sure
there.
it's probably. I'm sure you've been there many times. Probably worn. What is the very first damn thing you're going to do as governor?
Well,
why?
as you get started working on the budget, and you're going to be given a budget because you're going to go into the legislature shortly after you get sworn into office. But stabilizing the taxes has got to be a priority. In 2005, a tax cap bill was passed because property values were going up all over this valley. It was booming. We've been a boomer city and state for 30 years.
Long time.
And they never put a floor on it. So when we had the recession a few years, a little over a decade ago, your property taxes went down 50, 60, 70%. I know my property's in North Las Vegas, where my house is, and it went down over 50%, close to 70%.
Wow.
Well, what does that do? Less money for schools.
Correct.
Less money for cops. Less money for firemen. Less money for your streets and maintaining and public safety all around, first responders. And just put a floor on it. So today, my taxes are still lower than they were 12 years ago. And don't let them go down. The cities and counties would be safer and better for everybody living in them, whether you're in the north or the southern end of the state. Your community be more stable, funding, if they just put a floor. In other words, whatever it's at with the 3% cap and the 10-year CPI that even limits it further, just don't let it go down. That's all. Just don't let it go down. And it's very simple to do, but none of them summits has got the balls to do it.
Yeah. Well, and you're absolutely right. Less money means less services for everybody, and that's very important. And money in the budget in the state is extremely important, extremely sensitive. Anyway, Tom, thank you so much for coming on.
Dennis.
I wish you the best of luck, and we hope to see you again sooner than later. And remember, cowboytomcollins.com if you want to donate. All of these guys could use money because they're working their butts off. It's really not an easy job running for office, and every single one should be congratulated on that. So until next week, same time, same place, keep it in the short stuff. We'll see you back later on. So long, everybody.
It's good comment.